Vercingetorix. His name alone was enough to terrify the Roman legions. But who was this Gallic warrior, and why did Caesar fear him? Let's journey back to a time when one man dared to challenge an empire. 1. Who were the Gauls? The story of Vercingetorix begins in the vast, untamed lands of ancient Gaul, a region that today covers France, Belgium, parts of Switzerland, and northern Italy. The Gauls were a patchwork of fiercely independent tribes, each with its own leaders, customs, and allegiances. These tribes, though culturally similar, were often at war with each other, competing for power and territory. Among the most powerful were the Arverni, Vercingetorix's tribe, situated in central Gaul, what is now the Auvergne region of France. To the north were the Belgi, inhabiting modern-day Belgium, who were known for their warrior culture and resistance to Roman invasion. In the east, the Helvetii of what is now Switzerland had their own struggles, often migrating in search of more fertile lands. The Aedui, another central tribe, were traditionally aligned with Rome, a fact that would become a thorn in Vercingetorix's side. Despite their shared heritage, these tribes were mostly fractured and distrustful of one another. But everything was about to change with the rise of Vercingetorix. 2. Early life and hostage in Rome. Born around 82 BCE, Vercingetorix grew up in a Gaul divided by tribal rivalries and under the looming shadow of Roman expansion. His father, Celtillus, had once tried to unite Gaul, but his ambitions led to his execution by rival Gallic leaders, wary of anyone becoming too powerful. This taught young Vercingetorix a valuable lesson. Power was dangerous, and unity came at great cost. During his youth, Vercingetorix spent time in Rome as a political hostage. Rome often used such hostages to ensure the loyalty of Gallic leaders, but for Vercingetorix, this was no mere imprisonment. In the heart of the empire, he observed the Roman legions, their discipline, their tactics, and their weaknesses. This first-hand knowledge of Roman military strategy would become one of Vercingetorix's greatest assets in his future battles against Caesar. Interestingly, not all Gallic tribes would support Vercingetorix. The Remi and Linguans, for instance, remained loyal to Rome throughout his rebellion, seeing Roman power as a necessary evil. Vercingetorix, however, envisioned a unified Gaul, free from Roman domination. 3. Rising to power. Unifying the Gallic tribes. By 52 BCE, Gaul was on the brink of collapse under the weight of Roman conquest. Julius Caesar's legions were marching deeper into Gallic territory, defeating tribe after tribe. Many Gallic leaders surrendered, believing that cooperation with Rome was the only way to survive. But not Vercingetorix. He had inherited his father's dream of a united Gaul, and he knew that divided, the Gauls would fall. United, they might stand a chance. Convincing the various Gallic tribes to unite was no easy task. The Belgi in the north and the Aedui in central Gaul were suspicious of each other, and many feared that resisting Rome would bring destruction to their lands. But Vercingetorix was charismatic, persuasive, and above all, determined. He managed to rally the tribes under one banner, promising them that together they could drive the Romans out of their homeland. In early 52 BCE, he was declared king of all Gauls, the first and only time such a title had been given. 4. Guerrilla warfare and scorched earth tactics. Vercingetorix knew that he couldn't defeat Caesar's legions in traditional open battle. The Romans were too disciplined, too well trained. Instead, he turned to guerrilla tactics, using Gaul's rugged terrain to his advantage. His warriors struck Roman supply lines, ambushed small detachments, and then disappeared into the forests, leaving the Romans confused and frustrated. But perhaps the most controversial of Vercingetorix's strategies was his scorched earth policy. He ordered the burning of villages, crops, and even entire cities to deny Caesar's army the resources they needed to sustain their campaign. This tactic devastated the Gallic countryside and caused hardship for the very people Vercingetorix was trying to protect. Many Gauls questioned his leadership, wondering if the cost of resisting Rome was too high. But for Vercingetorix, it was a necessary sacrifice. Vercingetorix employed a scorched earth policy during his rebellion against Julius Caesar to weaken the Roman legions by depriving them of food and supplies. By ordering his people to burn their own towns, crops, and resources, he aimed to starve the Romans, slow their advance, and force them into unfavorable terrain. This strategy also allowed him to avoid direct confrontation, focusing instead on guerrilla tactics and attrition warfare. Caesar himself was impressed by Vercingetorix's strategic mind, despite the damage it caused. Some historians even suggest that Caesar respected Vercingetorix more than any other Gallic leader he had faced. 5. The victory at Gergovia. In the spring of 52 BCE, Vercingetorix achieved one of his greatest victories at the Battle of Gergovia, a fortified town in the territory of the Arverni, his own tribe. Positioned on a steep hill, Gergovia gave Vercingetorix's forces the high ground, and they used it to devastating effect. Caesar, overconfident after years of victories, believed that Gergovia would fall quickly. But Vercingetorix wouldn't give it up so easy. As the Roman legions attempted to storm the town, they found themselves trapped by the terrain, vulnerable to attacks from above. Vercingetorix's warriors rained down arrows and stones, repelling the Romans in a fierce and bloody battle. For the first time in his campaign, Caesar was forced to retreat, a humiliating blow for the mighty Roman general. This victory at Gergovia electrified the Gauls, showing them that Rome could be defeated. But the war was far from over. 6. The Siege of Alesia, the final stand. Later that same year, Vercingetorix and his forces retreated to the fortified town of Alesia, located in modern-day Burgundy, France. It was here that the most famous battle of his rebellion would take place, the Siege of Alesia. Caesar, determined to crush the Gallic uprising once and for all, laid siege to the town. He constructed a series of massive walls around Alesia, trapping Vercingetorix and his men inside. Outside, Caesar's forces built defensive fortifications to prevent Gallic reinforcements from breaking the siege. Vercingetorix and his warriors were surrounded, starving, and outnumbered. For weeks, they held out, hoping for relief from the surrounding Gallic tribes. But when the reinforcements were defeated by Caesar's forces, Vercingetorix knew the end had come. With no hope left, he made the ultimate decision. In a moment of bravery and surrender, Vercingetorix rode out of Alesia on horseback, dressed in full battle armor, and presented himself to Caesar. He laid down his arms at Caesar's feet, hoping that his surrender would spare his people from further suffering. 7. Imprisonment and execution. Vercingetorix's story didn't end with his surrender. He was taken to Rome in chains, where he spent 6 long years in a Roman prison. But even in captivity, his name lived on as a symbol of defiance against Roman rule. In 46 BCE, Caesar held his grand triumph in Rome, a celebration of his conquests in Gaul. As part of the festivities, Vercingetorix was paraded through the streets of Rome, a living symbol of Caesar's victory. But his life would end shortly after the celebration, when he was executed in public, a final display of Roman dominance. 8. Legacy. The national hero of France. Though his rebellion ended in defeat, Vercingetorix's legacy endures to this day. In modern France, he is celebrated as a national hero, a symbol of resistance and unity in the face of overwhelming odds. Statues of him stand tall in cities like Clermont-Ferrand, his likeness immortalized as a reminder of his bravery and leadership. Caesar may have won the war, but Vercingetorix's name lives to this day, a testament to the power of defiance, even in the face of certain defeat. 3 major lessons from Vercingetorix's life. First, unity is strength. Vercingetorix's ability to bring together the fiercely independent tribes of Gaul shows how even the most divided groups can achieve greatness when they unite for a common cause. Second, adaptability is crucial. Vercingetorix's use of guerrilla warfare and scorched earth tactics demonstrates the importance of adjusting one's strategy to the circumstances, an essential lesson for both warfare and modern life. Third, true leadership requires sacrifice. Vercingetorix made the difficult decision to burn his own people's lands and ultimately surrendered himself to protect Gaul. In leadership, the hardest decisions are often the ones that carry the greatest weight. If you've been captivated by the story of Vercingetorix, make sure to subscribe to War and Wisdom in History for more tales of warriors who shaped the world. And if this story left you thinking, don't forget to like and share the video. There's always more history to uncover, and together, we'll discover it. See you in the next chapter of history.